Hi everybody, my name is Lene van Heerden and together with Christine Mann, we are the co-founders of MAP Movement. In MAP Movement, we believe that every movement originates from breath. At this point in time, us as a country, but also everybody worldwide, find ourselves in a position that something is trying to attack our breath. So we thought to just record a short video clip to educate everybody around breathing, lung function, the role that the diaphragm plays in our breathing, as well as posture. And if you can apply just these few tips that we've got for you today, you might actually enhance your fighting fit ability to fight this virus, but also just to optimize the lung function. Right, so I'm going to use a few props to explain the theory. So if we look at this balloon, then I'm going to look at this as being our lungs. Right, so if we look at this, then if we have deep breathing and we are calm and we are collected and we're not stressed, then there's a bigger chance that we will be breathing into the whole lung, right? So that we use the whole capacity of the lung to take a deep breath from the apical to the middle to the basal lobes. I'm going to show you pictures shortly to explain what I'm talking about. However, when we are stressed in times like these, then we struggle to take deep breaths and to be calm and collected. So when we are stressed, we tend to default to mouth breathing, which sounds like this. As we run from point A to B to C to prep everything for lockdown, and we rarely allow ourselves to take deep breaths in and out through our nose, which actually calms us down. So when we resort to apical breathing and the hyperventilation pattern, then we only utilize the top lung lobe called the apical lung lobe. And very rarely we get any oxygenation right down into the basal lobes. So you will hear in the news and everybody talking about what actually happens to the lungs when the virus attacks. And a secondary infection or a complication of this is very often pneumonia. Now the pneumonia works in this way, that it attacks the basal lobes first. So if the basal lobe is being filled with mucus and phlegm and water, then it actually fills the lung up to a point that you only have the apical lungs to breathe into, which will obviously decrease your lung capacity. So we have realized in these times that we are quite stressed, it's not so much a problem to get air into the lungs, it's more a problem to get the air fully out. Meaning, it's easy for me to think that I'm optimally functioning when I go and I'm breathing into my neck and my shoulders. But can you hear that I'm never actually taking the air out through my lungs or through my mouth or through my nose? Right, so from MAP side, we realized that to educate you guys on actually getting all the old air out of the lungs is what is necessary to get new air in. So if I look at just a few pictures around what the diaphragm looks like and what the lung lobes look like, then I'm going to start with this picture. So this is a picture of your diaphragm. Now the diaphragm is a dome-shaped muscle that sits right underneath your rib cage. And it is used, or it should be used, for proper breathing. Now your diaphragm works like a jellyfish, all right? So we use a jellyfish movement to explain the diaphragm's function. So your diaphragm sits underneath your rib cage and your lungs rest on top of your diaphragm. Now, when we inhale properly and use the diaphragm, then the diaphragm must contract and push all the organs down out of the way so that your breath can flow all the way through to your basal lung lobes as well and not just stay here. So in other words, your diaphragm pushes down To enable your lungs to inflate, I'll show you a picture shortly of the lungs so that you can fully inflate that balloon that I've shown you all the way down into the basal lobes. And when we exhale, the diaphragm relaxes and it goes back up into the chest cavity, creating space for the organs to move back up, and it pushes all the old air out through the mouth or then through the nose. So that's why we speak of a jellyfish motion of the diaphragm if it is used properly for breathing. So if we look at the lungs, they are positioned right on top of your diaphragm, okay? So if you use the diaphragm, which is directly underneath your rib cage, then if that jellyfish dome-shaped muscle called the diaphragm does its job properly, then your lungs, which you will see over here has got top, middle and lower lobes, can actually be oxygenated all the way to the bottom and not just going into what we call the defense posture or the stressed pattern to only breathe up top. Good. Now, I'm going to give you one or two practical examples of what you can do at home to enhance your lung function. So as I said, we need to create something to practice to empty our lungs properly, to get all the old air out that might have been there the whole day and you never gave yourself the opportunity to make space for new air to come in. If we even link this to lymphatic drainage, because we know that our lymphatic system is one of our sewage systems in our bodies, we're actually 70% water. So if we can help our lymphatic system to flow and to get all the old lymph and all the old water out of our systems, we can prepare the lymphatic system to circulate with new water and new lymph so that we are actually boosting our immune. You can imagine if the lymphatic system in our bodies aren't moving because we are sitting the whole day, we're not breathing diaphragmatically, because the diaphragm is a switch for the lymphatic system, it goes so it actually enhances the lymphatic drainage. If we eat only junk food during this time, and if we don't look after ourselves, this water in our body gets fraught. Okay, so it is water that's not fresh and it's not flowing. So we want the water even to be cleansed so that we have a fighting chance and that our immunity can be boosted. So if I'm going to show you the practical examples, I want you to have this image in mind as well. So if I take a sponge and I place it in a bucket of water, and very half-heartedly I take the sponge out and I just do this, then there's water coming out, but it's not the full amount of water that's actually left in the sponge. But if I dunk the sponge in the water and I actually squeeze it with all that I've got, and I keep on squeezing and I keep on squeezing and I keep on squeezing, then I get all the old water out, so that when I release this sponge, there's actually completely new space for new lymph to flow into and new water. So we use our breathing exercises to do exactly this, to squeeze all the old lymph out, to squeeze all the old air out so that we can make space for new air and new lymph. Okay, good. So I'm going to show you these two props, and this will be your homework exercises. So if you are a toddler mommy like me, you might have a balloon at home. If not, I'm going to give you the example of the blow bottle shortly. So we also found that posture plays a very big role in our breathing and in our lung capacity. So I want you to do this with me. And I want you to sit very poorly. So slouch. All right? And now, whether you're breathing through your mouth or through your nose, when you try to take a deep breath in, you will get air in, but it's not sufficient. It's not going down all the way. It might feel that it's just around your upper chest, okay? When I sit up straight, there's more space into my chest area so that we can inhale deeper. So take a deep breath in and out. Right, so just changing the posture actually helps a lot to increase our lung capacity. The two practical examples that I want to show you, I'm going to do on my mat so that you can see the movement. So the blow bottle that I'm speaking about, if you don't have a balloon, it's just a normal water bottle that I took. I made a hole in it, I placed a straw in it, and then I taped it closed so that no air can escape around this hole. So I'm going to use these two props now when I go into just quick few movements, right? So I want you to feel, maybe just sit wherever you're comfortable, it doesn't have to be on your knees, but I want you to feel the value of nose breathing versus mouth breathing. So I want you to relax, but sit nice and upright. Good. Now take a few deep breaths in through your mouth. So it will sound and look like this. Right. So yes, I'm getting air in, but I'm getting air in right to about here. Okay. Now let's try our nose breathing. So close your mouth and take a deep breath in through your nose. Right, so just by using our noses to breathe rather than our mouths, the breathing settles a little bit lower down. And this gets us to what we call deep breathing diaphragmatic exercises. It physically calms us down. If we think about it, if your nose was created for smelling and for breathing, and our mouths were created for talking and for eating, then let's use them as such. Right, so I want to show you that when you use the blow bottle or the balloon to help you to get rid of all that old air, all the old lymph, then it will actually change your posture as well. Because I think the biggest problem now as well, other than the breathing, is that we will be seated a lot more now at home during this lockdown period than what we might have before. So I want you to have a look that when I'm going to blow this balloon and fully exhale, I'm going to go to a point where I become desperate for air. So it's not a half-hearted attempt. It's not a and an inhale and a and it's really, I'm putting in some effort. I will actually build up a little bit of a sweat if I'm taking my lungs to full exhale. And I want you to see how that takes my body into what we call a tilt. So we speak of exhaling and tilting to squeeze all the old stuff out. And then on inhale, we arch and we sit up straight. This is led from breath. So it's not a mechanical arch and tilt. It's led by breath. So I'm going to show you with the balloon. Deep breath in. To blow it up. So, I'm not just sitting up and blowing the balloon, I'm using the balloons, the forced exhale, to take my body into a tilt and an arch. So, when you are properly exhaling as well, all the old air will come out of the balloon, which will sound like this. Okay? All right? And then if you don't have a balloon, the blow bottle is just as good. So I want you to listen. I'm sure you'll hear it on the mic. When I exhale forcefully, there will be bubbles, 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 bubbles. And then as my air gets less, the bubbles will get less as well. And that's the point of full exhale. You exhale up to a point where you become desperate for new air through the nose. Right, so inhale, exhale. All right, so these are very good examples to enhance our lung capacity. So that, guys, that we're not just using the top and apical lung lobes, but the whole lung function system that we've been given. Right, so just to take this into maybe 1 or 2 movement exercises, we in MAP, we will use it maybe in even sitting to go inhale, arch, full exhale, tilt, through the nose, up to a point where there's no air left. I even feel the contraction of my abdominals, and then inhale and up, and exhale. If you can allow yourself to take 10 deep breaths, inhale and exhale through the nose, twice or 3 times a day, you will put yourself into the optimal position to have this fighting fit ability for the times that we live in. Please take note that we're doing it through the nose, not the mouth. Our mouth breathing really takes us into a stress response, a hyperventilation stress pattern, and we want to calm ourselves down, which really helps if we link it with nose breathing. Then just one last example. If you stand on all fours and you do a cat stretch that we call this, so instead of just arching and tilting without using our breath, we move from breath. So we will take a deep breath in to arch and then exhale through the nose. All the air out until I can physically lift my hands. All the air out, my weight is on my hips, and then inhale and up and exhale through the nose. Right, so I want to encourage you to, number 1, keep on moving. Don't sit on your couch. Move, move, move as much as possible, because that enhances your posture, which directly links to your lung capacity. And then secondly, if you can allow yourself just a few minutes of deep breathing during the day and making sure that you get all the old air out, squeezing all the old lymph out, you will boost your immunity and increase your lung capacity. Be blessed, keep safe, keep on breathing. Thank you for listening.